Hey there, I'm Joshua Bardwell, and I just want to take 30 seconds of your time before we get into the video in case someone has stumbled across this video randomly and doesn't realize what the context is. This is a playlist of videos teaching you how to build a FPV, first-person view freestyle or racing drone from start to finish. If you've stumbled in the middle, go down to the video description. There's a playlist link. Start at the beginning of the playlist and work your way through. If you are working your way through this video, I want to remind you that there is a Discord server, a Discord chat server for Quad Camp Online. There's a channel over there where we provide support for the people who are working through this project. If you have any questions, you can ask them down in the YouTube comments, absolutely. But if you need a little bit more real-time help, you maybe will get better luck over in the Discord server. Link in the video description. I also want to remind you, thanks to Rotor Riot for helping make this project a reality. And if you are thinking of working your way through this project, you can get all of the equipment to build the quadcopter in just one credit card swipe from the Rotor Riot store. Yeah, you can buy the stuff elsewhere as well. One piece here, one piece there, pay too much for shipping, accidentally buy the wrong thing. You get it all. There's a link to that down in the video description. On with the video.
Time to install the props. Here's what you need to know about installing props on a quadcopter. You need to know which way the motors spin. And the way I like to remember it is with standard Betaflight motor rotation, the motors spin towards the center line of the quad. So here's the center line of the quad, right? And the motors are going to spin towards the center line like that. Okay? And in the back of the quad, here's the center line, and the motors spin towards the center line. So we'll take out the props, and I want you to notice that each prop has a high leading edge and a low trailing edge. Think about when the prop spins, which way it's going to push air, like a propeller, or like a propeller. Like a fan blade. Think about which way it would push the air when it spins. The high leading edge moves forward and the trailing edge is low and the air is pushed off the prop in the downward direction. The high leading edge is going to go towards the center line of the quad. So this prop has the leading edge on this side. It's going to go here and the motor is going to spin that direction. So let's pull out another prop and look at it. Which edge is the leading edge? Which edge is the trailing edge? As you get more familiar with props, it'll be obvious just by looking at the shape of the prop, because the leading edge, then it swoops backwards towards the trailing edge. And the trailing edge often has a little bit of a, well, anyway, it'll start to become more obvious. But look here, the leading edge is high and the trailing edge is low. Wait a minute. Can I just turn the prop over upside down like this? And now, isn't this the leading edge? Think about that for a second. Which way is up? And the answer to that is, again, number one, you'll just start to learn to recognize it from the shape of the prop after you have a little experience. But if you're ever not sure, you can see there's some embossed marking, some letters marked on the quad, on the prop. It's the size and pitch of the propeller usually. So this one says Dal prop, and it's the model. And here it says T5046C. The lettering always goes on top. So if you're not sure ever which way is up, look for the lettering. The lettering goes up. Identify the leading edge, okay? And the leading edge goes toward the center line of the quad. So in this case, this prop goes on this motor. So now we've got two more props to put on. Here's our prop. Our lettering is up. Lettering is on top. We identify the leading edge, and we install the prop such that the leading edge faces the center line of the quad. And then there's one more prop. We'll go through the steps, although it's obvious which motor it goes on. We have the lettering up. We identify the leading edge of the prop, and then we install the prop such that the leading edge faces the center line of the quad. And you can do that the other direction as well. If you break a prop and you've got a bag of props and you go, well, which one do I need to get out of the bag of props? Just find the prop that is the same orientation as the prop that you broke. So we're just going to double check. Again, the motors spin towards the center line of the quad, and the leading edge is moving forward each time. Think about it, if it were like this would be backwards, because if the motors are spinning towards the center line, do you see that the trailing edge is now moving forwards? That's not what we want. If the prop is installed like this, the leading edge must always move forward, and that would make the motor be spinning the wrong direction. It would be spinning away from the center line of the quad, and that's wrong. Now this is important because if you try to take your quad off with an incorrect prop on, the best thing that will happen is that it will suddenly disarm and refuse to fly, and the worst thing that will happen is that it will violently flip out. So I always just double check this, and as you get more experience, you will just learn, I got my leading edges here, and I got my leading edges here, and every time I change props, I just eyeball that before I take off. I'll show you a couple other safety checks as well. Now I'm going to install these nylocks, and I'm going to tighten them down. When you tighten these down, get them pretty snug. They don't need to be like gorilla tight, but they need to be tight enough that when you whack a tree branch, they're not going to come off. And this is the tool that I like to use best. It is a ratcheting box wrench. It is an 8mm size. That's the size of these nuts. You can use something like this, but I find it can be a little hard to get enough torque on something like this, especially if you've smacked a branch and tightened it down. There are a couple other tools that you can use, but this is the one that I like the best. Okay, props are on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to install our battery strap. Do I really? How is this possible? I really don't have. Do I not have? Oh, this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. I don't have a Rotor Riot branded battery strap. Okay. I'm gonna use a Brain 3D battery strap. Brain 3D works with Rotor Riot, and they like Rotor Riot. And actually, Brain 3D designed the 3D printed parts for the CL1. I somehow do not have a Rotor Riot branded battery strap here. So we're gonna take our battery strap, and you might be tempted to pass the battery strap through here. You can do it that way. Some people do like to do it that way, but my preference is just to pass the battery strap just in front here of the standoffs. Just pass it like that, and I've passed it underneath. Don't snag this, that's bad, but just pass it underneath so it's not pulling on any wires or anything. And another thing you can do is if you've picked up some grip, you can put some grip here on the top. This is actually not grip branded grip. It's just a grippy pad. That's going to help your battery stay in one place and not go flying. Then I'm going to install the battery. I'm going to set the battery on top. If you've installed a GoPro carrier, then you may need to shuffle it forward or back a little bit. And I'm just going to tighten down the battery strap. Good and snug. Now this battery strap that I've got is a little bit too long, and it might get caught up in my props. That's okay, it's just going to tear it up a little bit. If you have a better, shorter length of battery strap, that would probably be better. So I can just tuck that in there. That'll do for now. Okay. Now, it is real important when you install your battery that you consider that these spinning blades of death are going to be spinning and they will cut things. So we want to protect the balance lead, for example, and it can get down into the props and get whacked, and it's a bad news. So what I like to do is take the balance lead and just tuck it in between the main discharge lead, and then give the main discharge lead half a twist, and that sort of tucks it up. And then I can come down and plug this in. I'm not going to do that right now because we're sort of on the bench, and that will, I'll take a risk being a professional for the sake of this demonstration. I'm going to plug this in, and what I want you to see is that my main discharge lead is secure. It's not going to be able to get into the props, sort of, no matter how. That's just not going to happen. Everything is safe and secure. If you don't give this some thought, I mean, you might just go, okay, well, here we go, right? That's not good, because that can very easily get down into the props and get cut. So you always want to give it some thought. In fact, what it might even be better to, well, anyway, there's various ways to go about it. I could turn this around like so, for example. Will that reach? That might reach. It's a little is a little taut. So see, here's why I don't like this. Just give this some thought. The good side of this is that as I pass the main discharge lead this direction, the balance plug, it can easily fit in there without getting snagged or anything. You see how I give that a little twist, and now the balance plug is restrained. But the downside is that there's a little bit of tension here, and you don't want tension on this wire because in a crash, boop, it'll pop out. So I think that this is going to be the best way to do it. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best way to do it. Just like that. And that will keep everything nice and secure.